What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Align Team Podcast. Today we have Jamie Kieffer with us, who's been with our organization not even a year yet, I
No,
don't think, right?
no, coming up on a year. I think August will be one full year.
Cool. So I know
Yeah.
Jamie pretty well from August on, but I don't know Jamie getting into real estate and kind of how that all started. So I'm just curious to know, like, how long have you been licensed, and did you start as a realtor, or did you have another job prior to this?
So I've been in the industry for 7 years. Prior to that, I was in clinical research.
Okay.
So completely,
Just like real estate.
yeah, just, two completely different ends of the spectrum. But yeah, so it's been 7 years.
Well, wait, what is clinical research? I have no idea.
So what I was doing was we were testing, like, have you ever heard of those panels where they pay you to test different products?
Yeah.
So we were performing the testing on people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we did cosmetic products.
Okay.
Yeah. So like hair products, makeup. It was really cool.
Very cool.
But I was like, I don't want to sit at a desk anymore. I don't want to be in a lab anymore. So
Yeah.
So here I am.
All right. That's interesting. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So then from there, you got that you're like, oh, I really want to sell real estate.
Yeah. Well, I actually saw a psychic and she was like, oh, I see you in real estate. I swear to God.
Really?
Whenever I tell people this story, they're like, you're joking, right? I was like, no, I really did.
Do you see psychics often?
No, it's not like a thing. I'm
They're
not
just
like
completely
I'm not
random?
like a weird psychic person.
Was it a local psychic, or were you like down on the boardwalk?
So I was like at this brunch with a bunch of women, and it was like, we were, a little party for someone's birthday or something like that. And she was, saying a lot of things that resonated with me. And I think real estate was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to explore it. And I knew I wasn't happy in the career that I was in. She was like, yeah, I see you doing really well in real estate.
Yeah.
And I was like, screw it. Let's do it. Why not?
There you go.
So here I am.
That you're the first person that I know that's gotten into this business because of a psychic.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like my party story. I'm like, yeah, that's how I got into, and here I am 7 years later.
I feel like you need to turn into a psychic. You need to be like the psychic realtor at some point. Nobody's done that.
What's her name? Like Miss Cleo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what year was that when you got the real estate license?
So 2017.
Okay.
I got it. Yeah. So started off with a smaller company in Edgewater. Then eventually, switched gears, moved over to Sotheby's. I was with them for 5 years, which was awesome. And I feel like that really shaped my career. I learned so much with them. And then made the switch over to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And now you're here. And I feel like what's cool about you is coming in 2017, it was good because you were post 08 crisis, post the 2012 Hurricane Sandy did a number on us too. I don't know if you were in the area for that.
Yeah,
but that was not fun.
I was, yeah.
I was actually just speaking to an agent yesterday, and they were doing an open house, and they were asking me about how was the property for Sandy and stuff.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, it was on Willow. The basement got water.
Right.
I don't know, but I'm just guessing.
Right. We can assume.
And then they were asking me more details. I'm like, just Google Hurricane Sandy Hoboken and look at pictures. Like, it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
The unit was okay. Buildings carry flood insurance. It's going to be fine, but the whole town's basically in the flood path.
Right. Like, I don't think anyone left unscathed on that. Like, it's, it is what it is.
It was a serious storm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then making that transition and coming into our organization, I know that what's cool about you is, so a lot of agents, I feel like they go through, I don't know, they go through like a hard time, or it doesn't necessarily, like, we're not in the easiest market today per se.
Right.
But I feel like you're doing a lot of things right, and it's creating steady income, and you're above what like a lot of folks, kind of tap out in this business. Like, we see a lot of like roller coastering down here.
Yeah.
And you've been able to kind of maintain this stable, steady, despite COVID, despite the high rate market. And like, kind of what's working well for you?
Well, I mean, I'll be totally honest. I definitely still am victim to that roller coaster of real estate still. I'm trying to get out of that cycle, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
I think it's very much a momentum game, and you have to, ride that high when you have it and keep that momentum going.
Yep.
And then when you're, in a crappy place or you're not doing so well, you have to be able to pull yourself up back out of it and, keep going. So I still go through those, ebbs and flows of the nature of the business. But I think for me, what I've realized is that I've found out certain markets that work for me. Like, I think I've found, my niche, so to speak. I really love Jersey City. I do a lot of work in Jersey City.
Yep.
I really love selling condos versus multifamilies. Like, I just have kind of learned who I work well with
Yep.
what I like to sell.
Yep.
Because I think that makes all the difference too. When you actually love what you're selling, it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So I think for me, being able to hone in on the things that I like and actually bring me joy in this industry rather than just like constantly grinding it out has really made it
Yeah.
enjoyable and in turn successful.
I coach with Matthew Ferry for a number of years and still stay close in touch with him. And he's big on
Mhm.
like the spiritual mindset component.
Yeah.
He's kind of like my psychic. So,
Yeah.
and I really feel like what a psychic does is just kind of like starts to ask questions to open up
Right.
where like really where your brain's going. And then they
Right.
kind of move in on certain things. And Matthew always did that with me. But one of the things that stood out when you're talking about the momentum was
Mhm.
he was like, he lives in California. So he's like, think of surfers out there waiting for waves to come.
Mhm.
They surf a set of 3 when they come through, and then when the waves aren't there, it's okay. They
Right.
just
You
wait for
just,
the next
yeah.
wave, and they don't panic, and what's cool about our business is we can actually go in and kinda create the waves ourselves if we're 90 days out, 120 days out doing what we're supposed to be doing, and it really is a fairly simple process of just having those conversations with folks.
Right.
But what I really like what you said, and a lot of realtors don't do this, is they have not even identified an avatar of like
Mhm.
what they wanna work with, what price point they wanna work with, and
Right.
really, this is you just make a decision. It's like
Yeah.
if you wanna do we've got a buddy that's doing like only 2 million and up right now
Right.
and dissolved his team,
Uh-huh.
and that's what he wants to do, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's just he made a decision,
Yeah.
and then he went and started moving that way,
Yeah.
and it doesn't happen overnight,
Right.
but if you're aware of like what you wanna be doing, if you wanna sell condos, if you wanna work in Jersey City, then start reaching out to people that live in Jersey City that wanna buy condos
Yeah.
and ignore the person in we see agents pick up stuff all over. Ignore the person way up in Bergen County
Right.
for 450 because it's gonna burn you out and
Exactly.
take you off of what you really wanna be doing.
Exactly. Because that's when you start to feel that stress. That's
Yeah.
when you start to feel that, oh, this is really tough. I mean, it's always going to be tough, no matter whether you're doing what you love or what you don't.
Yeah.
But if you're actually, working a market or working with people that you really enjoy, it makes it that much easier. And I think the clients feel it too.
Yeah.
They can sense that off of you. Like I had a really great showing the other day with these new clients. We were over in the Heights, which is where I would say like 95% of my business. And first time meeting them, I had a great morning with them and I left feeling so good about it. And they immediately put in an offer.
Yeah.
Like we just had like it just you feel that momentum, you feel that good energy and it's like it just shows. And I think you're right. It took me a while to get there. It's not going to happen overnight, but once you get it, you can kind of hone into it.
Yeah.
And you start to like embody that persona. Like I always joke with my friends and my clients, I'm like, where do you want to go in Jersey City? Like, it's not just about houses. What bars do you want to go to? What restaurants you want? Like, I
Yeah.
could tell you everything about it.
Yeah.
And I think you start to really soak it up, and people can feel that, and it's really cool. It's taken me a while to get here, but feels good to have that.
Well, too, when you're speaking about that as well, like you're interested in the food scene in Jersey
Right.
City.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
easy for you to talk about the food
Right.
scene, and you're probably gonna attract somebody that cares about the food scene as well.
Exactly.
People used to ask me like, "All right, what's your what's your avatar?" So I always said for my clients, it was somebody or realtors too on our
Mhm.
team. It's somebody I want to have a beer with. People are like, "Well, what's that?" And I'm like, when somebody invites you to a Yankees game and you don't want to have a beer with them,
Right.
and then you're like, "That's going to be a painful like 6 hours. I don't want
Yeah.
to sit next to this person and just make small talk." But then there's also the other person that invites, and you're like, "This is gonna be a lot of fun. Let me cancel like what I'm gonna
Right.
do."
You're
But
like, I'm in.
that's
Yeah.
the realtor we want. That's the
Yes.
client we want. And that's kind of like what we have really here. If you look around like the team and everybody that's
Yeah.
here, it's all like, it's everybody we want to have a beer with.
I totally agree. And I think that's super important to convey to your clients. And I think actually social media has been a really good tool for me in doing that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've been able to advertise not only my business, but also like who I am as a person. And I think that's really important when you're figuring out, where you want to work, who you want to work with, just really showing people who you are.
Yeah.
And people will connect with that. And
Yeah.
you'll attract, the kind of people that you should be working with that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like with social media, especially on Instagram specifically, I've been able to just kind of like post stuff that I think is cool or is funny or, something that I relate to that I know other people will
Yep.
outside of just, oh, I'm buying and selling houses. There's more to it.
Yeah.
And I think people really like that and they connect to it and it translates to doing more, business.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people too, like with what you're talking about with social media and whatnot, they just go through the motions and they think that just
Right.
posting something is going to create. We were actually onboarding with Fellow right now. which we'll keep you posted on. But it's like for generating sellers and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's this whole operation, but like everything about it is it's not a set it and forget it, and you
Right.
can't just go through the motions. So
Right.
it's like, who is our fellow dream team going to be? Because it's
Yeah.
going to be like kind of like that Zillow sellers, or it's going to be a little
Okay.
more, but it's going to require that outreach with the human component around
Right.
connecting at a deeper level versus just being a salesperson
Exactly.
running through your task on your CRM.
Yeah. And I think some agents, they get a little scared of that, the thought of like exposing themselves, so to speak,
Yeah.
and showing a little bit more of their personal life and their family and their friends and what they do on the weekends other than working.
Yeah.
But I think it's so powerful. And I think most agents don't tap into that enough.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, there's so many of us. So what is it about me that's going to separate myself from all the 100 other realtors in my area?
Yeah.
Why does someone want to work with me? Why do they want to work with Jamie? And how am I going to help you? And I think like I said, it could be a little bit daunting for some agents, but once you get the knack of it, like once you get a hang of it, it's easy because
Yeah.
you're just being yourself and it comes natural and people will click with it or they won't.
Yeah.
I really love working with first time home buyers because I think I like to hold their hand. I like to, give them all the details. I'm very honest. So I'm always giving them, the full gist of everything. And I think, once you figure out that that's your market and that's who connects with you, it's really nice. It's very natural at that point.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I feel like our first home buyers, what's cool about like Hoboken or Jersey City and all those areas is a lot of times we're with them through their whole journey. Like
Right.
it starts
Yeah.
in Jersey City and then they buy a 1 bed, but then they buy a 2 bed in Jersey City. But
Right.
then they sell that and then they buy in Maplewood or they buy
Right.
in Westfield or something. It's just cool to like be, and then once they're in Westfield for 7 years, then they want a short
Mhm.
house. And it's kind of
Mhm.
like, it's fun to watch like their real estate journey go. And I feel like a lot of people also with that connecting deeply don't realize, how fast time comes around. I shot in the success thing in our Slack channel that there was somebody from 2009 that I did not, she was great. I loved hanging with them, working with her.
Mhm.
Mom was so awesome. And I was like 22 at the time or 21. They were buying a foreclosed property and then we found out, and the whole building had foreclosed. It was like an 8-unit condo building. And it was just when things were bad. They found out that the unit that they were buying was not the unit that the asset manager thought they were buying.
Oh no.
So literally a week before closing, that sale, the bank was like, sue us, or I think they gave them 30 grand or something like that to get out of the contract because it was too good of a deal for them to release it on their books. And I'm sitting there like a broke 21-year-old, like, well, do I get anything? Like,
Where's my commission?
Kind of wanted that closing to happen next week. But I stayed in touch with them, and then they ended up buying a foreclosure in Newark in 2010 without me. And now, through us reaching out about the 5K and whatnot, I'm still 14, 15 years later, I'm still top of mind for them.
Yeah.
And now we're probably going to sell that Newark property.
That's awesome.
But I feel like so many people don't open up who they are.
Right.
They don't ever get into those deep, meaningful connections. And let me ask you this. Do you have 1 or 2 Instagrams? Like, do you have a business and personal, or do you keep it?
Well, that's funny because originally when I first got into the industry, I kept it separate.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, I was like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I was like, the most feedback that I'm getting from people is when I'm posting things that are outside of real estate. Like people love it. You know what people love on Instagram? Like crappy houses. They love that. I mean, obviously that's still related to real estate, but people they love to see the real stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want it to feel robotic. So when you're putting, stuff that makes people laugh or whatever it may be, that's when you get the most feedback. And it's just really nice. And it really establishes that human connection.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like with these relationships, it's really nice to see them. I'm at the place in my career where I'm seeing them come back around again. Like you said, people that I met early in my career are now coming back to me and saying, oh, well, now it's time to sell this home, and move on to something else. So it's really nice. It's really good and really validating to feel like, wow, these people actually really enjoy working with me and they trust me and we've maintained this relationship for X amount of years. So it's just really nice. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, and I feel like when you get good with that too, it's like then the friends and family start.
Exactly.
Like you really start.
Exactly.
I joked because actually we're gonna do a video. Omar and I were talking about it where we go into not every single, but like from 2018 on past sales, and I'm gonna do a bomb and be like, met that one at the gym, met
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
here, met that one at a bar, met that one here. This is a friend
Right.
of that person because I went to their
Right.
housewarming party, and and there's so many agents that are so reliant on leads right now
Yeah.
that are completely neglecting the fact that there's so many people that, like, you talk about avatars and everything, that you can, when you connect with those folks, you can really get to know their friends well and
Oh,
get to,
yeah.
like, my friends now are, I still have all my friends from high school too, and I
Mhm.
love them to death. But a lot of the people that I hang with, I know through real estate. They're
Yeah.
either a client of mine
Oh,
or they're
yeah.
another realtor or something like that. And
Yeah.
yesterday we were at the pool, and Jesse Adler and Maggie Adler, they came down from Wyckoff, past clients from Hoboken,
Yeah.
and their kids are the same
Yeah.
age as mine. So we
Yeah.
hung,
Because it's just natural. I think when you're genuinely a good person, you actually care about, you know, getting those people to the closing table because you care, not
Yep.
just because of the commission or all that stuff. It makes all the difference and people can feel that.
Yeah.
And it becomes a long lasting thing typically, which is really nice. So yeah, I'm starting to see that in my business, which is really great.
I'm happy you answered that you condensed the Instagram profiles too, because maybe if anybody from our team
Yeah.
watches this that has 2 Instagram profiles, you will finally stop doing that so
Stop.
that people.
Stop doing it.
I always tell people, I'm like, no, this is me. This is like, I actually
Yeah.
don't post enough about like family on mine. That's always through my stories, but the
Right.
actual posts, I can be
Right.
better with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge.
I actually ran into a new agent recently and we were talking about that specifically. He was like, "Oh yeah, I have my private one, but I don't really show that to anyone." I was like, "No, no, no, no. You got to merge them together. Like you are a real person, you're not a robot. People want to see that.
Yeah.
It will work in your favor. Unless you're a terrible human.
I was
That's a
gonna-
different story, but usually it'll work out in your favor."
If you're a weirdo on the other one, then it's like grow up.
Yeah,
and
it's like,
it's
all
time.
right,
Like,
yeah.
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 Trust me, it's gonna be better for you.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Any like last tips or anything for agents or something that are struggling in the business, or how would somebody get in touch with you if they wanted to buy, sell, or?
Well, Instagram, obviously.
Yeah.
You can get in touch with me on Instagram. But yeah, no, I mean, tips for agents, I would just say, be genuine and really, like I was saying before, find what works for you, find what keeps you going at the end of the day, because this industry is not easy. It's every day is a new circus.
Yeah.
So you got to find what can keep you happy and also outside of work, what keeps you happy.
Yeah.
For me, I've taken on running, which I really love, and find what it is that like keeps your peace.
Yeah.
And keeps you at that steady level where you can get up every day and be like, yeah, let's go do it.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that's so true. And I always tell people, like, there's so many different ways to make money in this business.
Right.
Let's find something that empowers you so that in the
Right.
morning you want to wake up and actually do it versus, forcing yourself. Like we talk about, like, Eckhart, for instance, can lock himself in a closet and call for sale
Right.
by owners for 4 hours. But if I make somebody else do that, they're
No
going to break out in
chance.
hives. Yeah.
No chance. And that's honestly, that's something that I really appreciated about this team is that you guys don't make me do that.
Yeah.
Like I'm very much an independent person. I want to do my own thing. And you guys kind of just let me rock out. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, this is great. This is a good fit.
Yeah. We had you on one lead source. And I remember it was like zapping your energy. And you're just
Yeah.
like, I don't
I was
like this
yeah, I
one.
was like, I don't think this
And
works.
you're like, yep, see you later.
And you
I'm
guys like,
"All
okay, fine.
right, yeah, works.
Like,
We'd
thank you
rather,
so much. But if it doesn't work for me, you have to be able to know when to say this is not working.
Yep.
'Cause it's not going to work for the client either then.
Cool. And as we wrap up, what is the Instagram handle?
My full name, Jamie Kieffer.
Perfect. That's
Easy
easy.
enough.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.